weekend was way too short.
I say by executive order of Kenny Martin, we start having 3-day weekends.
I like it. I think we either start with Friday and have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And I see that we got Commissioner Mullally on here. So people have asked for years, so why couldn't we have a 4-day week? And I said, because most everybody else has a 5-day week. That's why we don't do it. Some city halls have tried that, but it traditionally doesn't work. To be here 10-hour days or whatever.
All right, I'll tell you what, it's a little, just a minute or two after 11. It's great to see everybody. Marlon, Michelle, keep the ball rolling here, put questions in there. Once again, lots going on. Those of you that watch the city commission agenda, there's rezones, things with noise ordinances or blasting, burning. They're watching out for us. Lots going on at the county, the fair, all kinds of stuff. Try to finish up by 11:30. But Kenny, thanks for joining us this morning. How are you?
I am fine, everybody. And thank you, Mark, for doing the 11:30 thing. That'll give me time to get finished here and go over and be the guest speaker at the noon Rotary. And so I'm looking all over the screen. So if I don't look at my face or look directly into the camera, it's because I'm looking around at all you guys. Thank y'all first and foremost for everything that you do. I see we got Commissioner Mullally on here. I want to thank our entire commission as well for a lot of things that they do. A lot of times it goes unnoticed. For example, Mark, you said something about the blasting and the burning and things of that nature. And in any community where you're going to have a lot of growth and a lot of rock, blasting throughout Tennessee, and especially in Middle Tennessee and Mount Juliet's been an issue. So I know the commission and Commissioner Mullally in particular has been working really hard, reaching out to the state and trying to do different things about the distance from, where the blasting's occurring. And I think the commission has come up with some really good ideas, and the end result will be better than probably what the process is today, because we've got a lot of homeowners in particular. Mark, you guys sit pretty close. So if you sit close to where any of this blasting is, I can feel it from City Hall sometimes. So I can only imagine being a homeowner. And I've actually endured this before too, because at some point, if you live in Mount Juliet, you probably had some blasting that went on close to your home. And it tends to, pardon the pun, but rattle people's nerves, because you're sitting there thinking, when you can feel your house shake. And I can see Stuart on here. So Stuart will tell you, as a architect and engineer type, that it can worry about nail pops and cracks and foundation issues and things of that nature. So they're working really hard on that. Another thing they're working on is the burning. A lot of times, because there's a lot of trees on sites, for example, Providence Central, we've had a handful of complaints about that because they've been doing some burning. And so our fire chief's been working real close with them about, trying to keep the ash down in the burn pit. And a lot of times that depends upon weather. And you're probably, if somebody's burning, you're probably going to smell some smoke, and you're probably going to get a little bit of ash on your car. And we try to work with people on that. But the alternative, if you're not burning, of course, would be mulching on site, which they can do a lot of times. And to us, it's not about the cost that the developer has to endure so much as it is about making sure the citizens are protected. The tougher one is the blasting. And because the blasting is, most time it's easier to have either blasting on site or rock crusher on site. So the downside is, if you don't allow blasting, then you're going to have a jackhammer going a lot longer. And these jackhammers that I'm speaking of are machinery type jackhammers, not the kind where you would have seen a human being operating it, individually, these little dinky things. So we have to just be aware of that kind of stuff. And that's what Commissioner Mullally and the commissioners are trying to do, and I commend them for that. It's a slippery slope. It's tough to be not only good to your citizens and also trying to figure out a way to help development. So we're trying to compromise on some of that stuff. But I'm just excited that they're talking about it, because that's part of having a city government, is to listen to people, try to make it better without impacting anybody in a negative way. So I won't belabor the blasting and the smoking, but I hope that sort of explains what it is that the city's trying to do. We got lucky last week. There was some burning going on. It was one day before they were going to be finished with the burning. And just as we started getting the complaints about some ash, the rain started. So that helps too, to get some rain sometimes, because a lot of times the ash is not ash. It's actually dust from the site that gets picked up by the trucks that are driving on site. And that's why a lot of times you'll see these water trucks driving on construction sites to keep the ash and the dust down. and sometimes wind works against us. So, Mark, that was the two probably major things that people probably heard the most about lately, as far as when it comes to debate, and in particular the blasting, because all of Middle Tennessee is growing. So you probably hear about it on the news every night, and it's not just Mount Juliet; it's Hermitage, it's Donaldson, it's Nashville. So we can definitely relate to that here in Mount Juliet. So, Mark, did you have some other high points there that I can speak to? Because I hate to just go on this ramble.
No, I've got a few that I had just been making notes. The first three or four, an update on wind tree pines. We know it was approved back in April. I think while Commissioner Mullally on here, I wrote down town hall, but it might be more of a city commission workshop on the future of ambulance or fire service inside the city limits 11. And I believe that's coming up on a Monday night I don't think it's on a night of a city commission meeting. Maybe one of y'all can address that. A switch back to text messaging from Atlas One. Those are a few things you can touch on.
Yeah, what I'll do is I'll get the Atlas One, and I'm trying to think of the new program, but we tried the Atlas One from what we'd had before. It was a little bit cheaper because the other was just very expensive. And so now the police department and IT have went to a new system that's sort of text-based, where you can still get a text for blasting or a wreck on the interstate or some kind of other traffic delay. So you can sign up through that. My recommendation would be to reach out to the police department, and in particular Captain Chandler, because he can sort of lead you to that, or even maybe check their website, because he can articulate that a lot better than I can. But it's just a better system than the Atlas. I think we're going to keep Atlas. I think you'll still have the option for that, but it gives you another opportunity. Some folks didn't like Atlas as much as they did the previous product. So for any kind of notifications, things of that nature, my recommendation would be to reach out to Captain Chandler at the police department, and he can lead you, not only point you to the website, but some folks actually need help walking through how you do it, how you sign up with it on the phone. So,
okay.
And also Travis Taylor here at City Hall. That's your two best go-to people, because they're the most advanced when it comes to IT. And for me to try to explain that to you probably would be leading you down a primrose path, and I don't want to do
that.
Okay. But yes, we have a new system that they've found that they're excited about, that corrects some of the issues that we had with Atlas One and fills in some of those gaps. So that's good news. And I'll defer, Mark. I can speak to the meeting that's coming up, but I think out of respect for Commissioner Mullally, I'll let her speak to it, since she's been the driving force behind the meeting with Mayor Hutto.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, she may. I hope she's able to speak, but I see she's unmuted.
Yes, I'm here. Thank you, Kenny. That's next Monday, and it's August 30th at 6:15. Mayor Hutto had agreed to do a public meeting before the city, because a lot of residents are upset that he plans on removing the two ambulances from the current locations, one being on East Hill Street and one being on Belinda Parkway. And so he had agreed to do it. My residents want it, and so we're going to have it. So he can come. The starting point of discussion is going to be a list that Chief Luffman has come up with and Deputy Chief Edwards. And so that'll be a starting point.
Next Monday, the 23rd?
No, I'm sorry, the 30th. I was thinking.
It's 2 weeks from tonight.
Yes, I'm sorry, I'm on vacation. I can't think. Yes, on the 30th at 6:15 at City Hall.
Perfect.
So it's going to be just an open discussion between citizens. Are going to say, their 3 minutes, not a lot. And I've asked Mr. York from Del Webb if he could kind of coordinate most of the questions so that it won't get prolonged, and then he can pretty much kind of speak for everyone. And then between the board and Mayor Hutto.
All right, very good. Thank you. If anybody asks, we know where to direct them now. Kenny, we had Friday morning at our community development meeting. Mike Murphy was here, and he kind of gave us an update of Wilson Central. A little unsure maybe of the timeline of the bridge, but it looks like, at least on the Providence Central side, things are going pretty well.
Mark, well said, my friend, and thank you, Commissioner Mullally, for providing that update. But yes, Providence Central has been everything that we'd hoped it'd be. I want to thank Commissioner Mullally on that as well. She held the town hall meeting. A lot of folks, as you would expect, and we totally understand, we're concerned because the first thing you think of when you think of apartments, sometimes with some folks, is they tend to paint those in a negative light. But I can tell you, in my personal opinion, that town hall was very helpful because it allowed us as a staff to come together with the developer and build trust and show them what we were talking about or what they were talking about building. And had that not received the commission's support, we wouldn't be looking at it, which I feel like is going to be a great development. If you've been through Adams Lane recently and you looked over to your south, to your left, if you're going west, you see they've been doing a lot of clearing. They're doing really good about keeping the roads clean. There's only been maybe a handful of complaints about some of the burning. Most of that they're logging and taking off and repurposing a lot of that lumber. If you've noticed that, or a lot of that wood will turn into furniture and other things. That is going to be one awesome development. And I'm already, as a city manager, getting a ton of interest. And I can only imagine what Commissioner Mullally and the developer themselves are getting for some of those retailers that people have been asking for years. This Providence Central is probably the next best thing when it comes to a retail development next to Providence as we've had in years. And the reason is it's that much closer to Nashville. And it could be that the very development that we need to come along that drives Central Pike to happen sooner rather than later. It's funny, we just had a staff meeting this morning and I brought this up, and I hope I can articulate this to where people can see where I'm coming from. Is I was working for Mount Juliet years ago when there was really not that much out here but about 2 traffic lights. And a lot of the people that are watching this morning remember those days. And I get it. It was sleepy that back then, and you had to drive 30 minutes to go somewhere to get groceries or go shopping or to buy a t-shirt, a pair of slacks, or some sneakers. And now you can get all that right here in Mount Juliet. So the positive that I want to put on it is here's the way that I look at it is, yes, I agree that none of us like traffic, but we're all traffic. We all contribute to traffic. So we're actually the ones that make it. So we could carpool more, we could walk more, we could ride our bikes, we could do a lot of things, but that's sort of up to us. What I like about the development that we've got here is the old days I would drive to Hickory Hollow or Rivergate, 30-minute drive one way. So there's an hour of my life. Once I got there, what's the first thing that I was going to encounter when I got to go shopping at Rivergate or Hickory Hollow or wherever it may be? Traffic. So no matter where you go, if you're going somewhere where other people are shopping and gathering, you're going to deal with traffic. So I'd much rather have that in my own backyard to where it's actually saving me an hour of travel time somewhere else. And I've got the convenience at 10 o'clock at night to go shopping, or 9 o'clock in the morning, or 9 o'clock at night. So traffic is always going to be an issue unless you live way out into the country or in an area that's evident that it's never going to grow. So what I'm encouraging people to do is always look at the positives, you know, that sort of half a glass half full kind of thing. For example, I have this face, right? This is the one that I'm born with, and I've noticed.
Kenny, stay positive, Kenny.
Yeah, I am staying positive.
Okay.
This is one I was born with, and it's not that great. So what I do to make me feel better, and I'm gonna be a little silly, is that I purposely go out every day, and it's just my opinion. Yours may differ. Is that I can go anywhere out into the public and go shopping, and within about 5 minutes, I'm gonna feel better about me. And this is being silly, but I'm always going to find somebody that I look at and go, you could be them. Right? In other words, you always sort of look at them and say, there is an uglier person out there than me. So I immediately feel better about me. Right? So it's a silly way of putting it, is count your blessings more so than you do the things that you can tend to focus on that are negatives, because there's always going to be negatives. And if you complain about the negatives long enough and you don't realize the positives, you'll become very negative. I sort of plan out my day that if I'm going to do something, I know it involves traffic, is to try to do as many things as I can do on the front end to make that experience better. Like if I'm going shopping, I know the traffic's coming, but try to focus on the fact that you're blessed enough to have money in your pocket and resources that you're going shopping, because you could be making a trip to the hospital to visit a loved one. So it's all about the perspective of just sort of looking at it. So I get it, and we're sympathetic of the traffic. And I can assure you that Commissioner Mullally, this entire elected body, this staff, and our citizens are working tirelessly together every day to bring the quality of life that the people deserve that we serve to this community. And I know it sounds so hokey, but it's the absolute truth. That's why God picked us to be in the positions we're in, and the people are on this screen this morning, is because you care enough about your community that you want to be a difference maker in making it better, not worse. So yes, there will probably be more traffic at some point in the future. For example, people are always asking about, let me use some big box retailer that you all wanted. Like back when we wanted Kroger or we wanted Publix, and right now it's a organic grocery store. I can assure you that if an organic grocery store comes today, it will generate 10 times more traffic than the apartments at Providence Central. But I doubt very seriously that anybody's going to complain if once apartments go up, if the next day we make an announcement that there's an organic grocery store coming in. So I understand the complaining because we all do it in some shape or form or fashion. I'm just saying if you find yourself doing it less, you'll be a far happier person and you'll realize the benefits of what you've got surrounding you. So I know the things that are coming. Central Pike Interchange. Once it comes, just like Mount Juliet Road widening, just like the Golden Bear Parkway came, in short order, we forgot about all that dilemma that we had to go through to get it, all the pain and suffering that we had to go through to get it. And now when you drive it, or if Mount Juliet Road's blocked, you know in the back of your mind, you can simply go over to Golden Bear and bypass all that. And so I don't have to go to Rivergate or Hickory Hollow or anywhere else anymore to get my sneakers, to get my t-shirt, to get my groceries, to get all the other things. And to be honest with you, I absolutely love that. As a matter of fact, the older I get, we've talked about it before with this traffic, we could move further out. And the first thing that comes to mind is I said, but I like just running out and getting something every once in a while. And I don't want it to take me 30 minutes to go in and get a gallon of milk or a pair of sneakers. So traffic's going to be with us for a long time, but you can see things all over your city. We just added the turning lane, and I want to thank Mr. Tommy Crockett, my dear friend who we lost here recently with Two Rivers Ford, because if had he and John Barker not stepped up to donate $25,000, they gave me the opportunity to go to my commission and say, would you be willing to split the cost with Two Rivers Ford to add that turn lane? It would not be there today. So when I see that turn lane, I think of John Barker, Two Rivers Ford, and Tommy Crockett. So I want to give a personal shout out to them for helping us bring that to reality, because that little simple turn lane in front of Two Rivers Ford that we partnered with the people that we serve is now making it easier for traffic going eastbound to get into that little small turning lane so that everybody else can keep on trucking. And that's what we got to do more of in this community, a right turn lane here, a signal there. And so when I think of signals, I think of this commission stepping up to the tune of $900,000 and saying, we want to add you 3 traffic signals, one at South Green Hill, one at Mount Juliet Road in Oak Hall, and the other at Curd Road. They're going to come, and the one at South Green Hill Road, in Andy Barlow's defense, would have already been up. But here's the problem is, there's only 2 traffic signal companies that specialize this that I know of in either Tennessee or Middle Tennessee. And because of the growth in Middle Tennessee, they are really, really busy. So you can either go out and put them up yourself, which you actually can't do because you don't have the skill set or the personnel to do it. So you have to wait. So that delays it. The other thing that's delaying the South Green Hill light is we were going to move the light from North Green Hill that went down when they built the new school, because they put a new one up the road. And Stuart will tell you, when you take old poles down, the mast arms at every intersection are different. They're different lengths. So you just can't put poles up and then extend the arm, because it has to be engineered, because it could fail. And the last thing anybody wants is a big old traffic signal pole caving in on top of your car and possibly seriously injuring somebody, or God forbid, kill them. So timelines are set. We had hoped that signal at South Green Hill would have been installed by May or June of this year. And it's evident that we're into August, well into August, and it's still not there. The reason is we've got to wait for the mast arms to be extended, and we got to wait for the poles that we're going to try to repurpose to be inspected by an engineer to make sure that they could sustain that extra weight. So that's sort of a very technical way of saying is that even if we wanted to, if Kenny Martin was a welder and I made metal for a living, I couldn't go out there today and make that traffic signal come any quicker. The good thing is, the most important part of that is that you as the taxpayers and our elected bodies already stepped up and said, here's $900,000, go make it happen. Because had that not happened, we wouldn't even be talking about 3 new traffic signals. And so that
We're
is
looking,
good. Yeah,
we're looking
good
forward
once
to
they get
those.
put in. So all I'm asking is to understand where we're at, and that you guys help me as the messengers to tell other people when you hear them talking, or to say, hey, here's why it's taking a little while. It's not that the city staff or the elected body's not wanting to move it forward as quick as it needs to be, but even to put a traffic signal up, you have to buy somebody else's land, because you just can't go dig a hole in somebody's front yard in their business and go, we're going to put a traffic pole right there and you're going to like it. We got to get permission. There's a lot of parts, just like right away. Mark, I'm sort of transitioning to another project here. South Mount Juliet Road widening between, say, Kroger on South Mount Juliet Road to Central Pike, a little past that. Everything's been done from a city standpoint. The design has been done, the engineering's been done, the environmental's been done. And like a quarterback, we have handed this project off to the state now, and the state will start what's called right-of-way acquisition, which means they've now got to go those landowners that's going to be impacted by this road being widened and say, here's what the fair market value of your property is, and we want to pay you for it. So you can't just go in and take things from people. There's a process. So now we're basically waiting on the state. Now, keep in mind, the state's doing multiple other projects. They're doing this all over the place. So we just got to wait our turn in line as they go and start meeting with homeowners to go, we want to buy your little piece of property because we're going to widen the road in front of you. My excitement level is it took years to get here, and we may still be talking 3 years from now before you see any kind of actual movement of dirt, but that's what's got to happen. If you went back, Mark, and you played archives or your chamber meetings, you will probably see that 5, 6, 10 years ago, we were talking about widening the bridge at I-40 and adding another lane. Well, if you go up there now, what do we see? Construction in place, actually happening. And it didn't happen by accident. It happened because people like yourselves and your city staff and your elected body was working with state officials and federal officials. Because for that bridge to even be widened, it had to be approved at the city level, at the state level. Look at that. Look at this. Look at this animation, folks. Boom, boom, and the state. So you got 3 different levels before it ever even gets to the citizen level, before that bridge could even be widened by 1 lane. 1 lane. And then you had to go to Cheddar's, and you had to go to the Shell station and the mattress store and all these other things and go, we're going to go over here and we're going to go over here and we're going to take a little bit of your land here. And we even had to lose our city welcome sign. That, remember the digital LED board in front of Cheddar's? It's gone. Even that at $26,000 had to be taken out just so that that road can be widened. So everything involves, there's so many little pieces. And then you got utilities, you got the electric company, you got the water company, you got TDS, you got Comcast, you got AT&T. That's got to be moved. Natural gas lines, you name it. So when you start saying it that way, and that's what we as a staff have got to do a better job of doing, is pass on to our elected bodies so they can share with their constituents all the moving parts that's got to be done. And we got to keep them more informed frequently so that these things don't seem like they've actually just stalled somewhere along the way.
Hopefully you can use meetings like this on a regular basis to keep people informed. And I think that you've done an exceptional job of that. I don't think there's anything you're saying that's going to surprise anybody on the progress or perceived lack of on anything that we've got going on. So I don't think you have to worry about that. But, I'm drawing a blank on his name real quick. He's been the Deputy Commissioner of Transportation years ago when they were widening Mount Juliet Road and people were fussing about the orange barrels and the traffic and everything. He said, I hear what you're saying, but if you think living in a town with a lot of orange barrels and traffic is rough, you ought to try living in a town with no traffic and no orange barrels. So perspective, I guess.
No, you're exactly right. And I hope that I'm not come across as defensive. My passion comes from the fact that it's neat to see other human beings that you're in a position to be able to serve. And you're right, Mark, when you think of a lot of people living in some distressed places across this country, there's people that, the Chamber of Commerce has been absolutely awesome too. And the people that serve on it and the people that I see on this screen this morning, you wouldn't be here if you didn't care. And I see some faces over and over and over again. And I think that's awesome because thank goodness that our society has people in it that care. When people complain, it's my job to try to explain to them why we're at and not be defensive about it, because I get it. To folks on the outside that we serve that are paying us to do certain things, we have to be able to articulate to them that we're not dropping the ball, that we are working hard. So I appreciate avenues like this, Mark, through you and Miss Marla and the folks in Michelle at the Chamber to give us this opportunity. I wish there was 1,000 people tuning in this morning because I need you all to be my messengers, our messengers through the city commission to get the word out to the people that we serve, because Mount Juliet may only be 32 to 34 square miles and consist of about 40,000 people. But that 40,000 people are part of what makes this country 330 million, right? And there's people flooding to this part of the country, in Mount Juliet, Tennessee in particular, is why it's one of the fastest growing cities in the state of Tennessee. And y'all just saw that from the recent census numbers. And it's our job and responsibility to try to create a quality of life that people can be proud of and look forward to, because bless your hearts, I actually recognize that you're human beings and that you deal with the same stresses in life that I deal with every day as well, right? You worry about your grandkids, you worry about your children, you worry about yourself, you worry about your community, you worry. It's my job, it's the commission's job to try to give you some peace and comfort of a place that you come back to. And Mark, oddly enough, you do that too. Everybody here is trying to do is make Mount Juliet a place to where people can come and just live during this short time we got on this planet and have some peace, tranquility, and happiness, because it passes by way too fast.
There's a few things that make that easier. A couple of them are Tate Lane Park and Grace Park. Quick update.
Yep. Matter of fact, in our staff meeting, we talked about that this morning. The engineer for the Tate Lane Park, as we call it, just to make it simple, to give you an idea where it's at right there by Victory Baptist Church, is that we're applying for a grant for some of the improvements we're making there. We'll be going back to the commission. I think they approved initially like for a 50/50 grant. The grant could be as much as $1 million, which means the city might have to put in $500,000. We're hoping that the land that we bought there, which is about $500,000, will be our match and in-kind grant. But that's moving quickly. We've got an engineering firm that's working on that park. They're working on Grace Park, which is up on Mount Juliet Road where Grace United Methodist Church is, and what they call Hamilton Dennison Park, which is the I'm trying to think which one that's the I guess that's the Hamilton Dennison is the Tate Lane Park. I'm sorry. And then you got Thomason Park, which we've partnered with Beazer Homes, and that's going to be an instant one. That's a home run idea on behalf of the Parks Director and the Board of Commissioners, is to buy 57 acres and then turn around and sell 20 of those acres. And you almost paid for the whole 57, and then have the developer come back and build your restroom facilities, your parking lot, and the infrastructure into the park at no expense to the taxpayers. I hate to admit it, I hate to brag, but it's sort of genius. And it took a lot of people to come together to realize that, because yes, we bought the land, but the land almost is coming free because the developer is buying back. So not only will we get new homeowners, a new development, we'll get the park built for almost no expense to our own, which when I want to speak to that is, thank you, Commission. Thank you, Commissioner Mullally, for voting for the Amazon project, because even though it's a big building, that was about, I don't know, $100 million investment in our community. But then they also went out there and put all those traffic signals on Golden Bear to make it life easier for you to get in and out. They widened the road, they added a greenway, and we just got the keys handed to us of a brand new state-of-the-art restroom facility, parking lot, and trailhead. So that if you at the end of the day are worn out and tired, stressed, and just want to go somewhere and be left alone, you can take your car, your bicycle, or walk right up to that parking lot and start there and go anywhere you want to. And if you need to change clothes or use the restroom facility, it is right there at no expense to you. That to me is progress and success, and that's good stuff. And I think it looks nice. And if you go down a little bit further from that, if y'all notice that big new sign that everybody thinks was going to be a clock tower, that is basically an iconic piece that's also in the Providence area over in Commissioner Mullally's district, is being built and mirrored right there at Golden Bear. And it's going to say Golden Bear Gateway on it. And it'll have flowers and things of nature and landscaping, and just a beautification piece along the side of the road that didn't cost the taxpayers anything, that was built by the developer. It was just one of those things that say, if you're going to put this big building in, let's do some other things around it, as Stuart would say, to soften it up a little bit, to make it look just a little bit better. Right?
They're doing a nice job on that, Kenny. Hey,
Yeah.
Real quick before we go, looking at my notes from our last one, I'll ask you again. And we knew this was going to take a while, but any update on the City Hall upgrade?
It is. What we're waiting on right now is, if you remember, the commission had decided to sort of hit the pause button. And the reason they want to do that is that we've got some money, it's about $9.9 million. It's going to be coming to us. Lebanon, I think, got 9.6 or 7, something like that. And our question is that we're waiting on the federal government to say is, can we use that to build a brand new city hall, or do we have to use that money to just add on to the existing city hall? Now, I think it's a little minutia to say it matters if it's brand new somewhere else or if it has to be on the same piece of land. And the reason I say that is we need to expand City Hall. City Hall isn't just for a place for the staff to sit and do their work daily. It's a place where the citizens come to seek services. So Mark, literally, we hope latter part of this month, September, to have an answer from the federal government on how that money can be spent. If they say we can spend that money elsewhere, our goal is through the commission is to build a brand new city hall right now. Once the committee's put together, it looks like they're leaning more towards not just a city hall, but sort of a teen recreation kind of area / senior center kind of area. So it could be sort of a complex that would have city hall, senior citizen center, teen center. And that teen center could be swimming pool. It could be another gymnasium. The committee will ultimately decide that and the commission will vote. And so instead of being a $10 million project, this could end up being a $20 million project. Does that make sense? So the only thing holding the progress right now up is, and it's not the federal government, we get it. We just have to wait for that answer. Once we know that answer, and say if the federal government comes back and says, if you want to use that $10 million, the only way you can use it is to expand your current city hall, then what that means is where you set today, we're at in the building that I'm in right this moment. If the commission decides, Kenny, here's you $10 million, they said we can only use it for expansion, then I'm going to immediately get to work and try to work with the property owner beside us to go that direction and try to build a brand new city hall by taking and building. It had to be attached. Does that make sense? And if we did that, we'd probably remodel the existing city hall to look like the new addition.
All right.
So that's where we're at. A lot of new businesses coming, folks. Please, 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 please keep shopping local. You got the Dragonfly, you've got Hammer and Stain, you've got candle shops, you've got Candied Rib, which finally got open. They can't survive without you patronizing their businesses. There's many more out there, Baccarat, the list goes on and on. Big O Tire coming, O'Reilly's coming, Legacy Point's coming. Everywhere you look, there's dirt moving in Mount Juliet. That is such a blessing when you consider right in the middle of a pandemic. So keep being safe, praying for other people, keep taking care of yourself, keep washing your hands, keep using the disinfectants and all that other stuff. And together we'll get through this thing, right? We'll get through to it together in a united fashion and come out on the other end. So the fact is that we're doing so well, even in the middle of this. Imagine what we can do when we get through it. So when you see these new businesses come in, realize that there's people out there like yourselves that chose to get up this morning and go to work, right? These waitresses and waiters and people serving you at the Dollar General store or JCPenney or whatever, they're out there just like you trying to get after it every day to make the dream come true. Please be nice to them. Please be patient because a lot of these folks are operating at 50% or less staff and they're trying to do the best they can. And so the last thing they need is for us as other human beings to give them grief about something taking a little long. I can afford to miss a meal or it just take just a little bit longer to get to the table. Take good care of those people and they'll take good care of you.
On top of the pandemic and the tornado, Valley Center was particularly hard hit with the flood. And I want to thank everybody that was able to make it out to our multi-tenant ribbon cutting on the 6th, I guess, 6th or 7th. It was a Friday afternoon a week ago, and probably at least a dozen ribbon cuttings. That was pretty fun to welcome everybody back. Some of them have been open a little bit longer than others, but Valley Center, getting them back on their feet is a huge help. The Christmas parade, Kenny, late afternoon. I know you're probably not going to do the turkey trot or the 5K. Wasn't there a run before that?
You know, and I think they're going to still have that. I think that they've got some new folks. They'll just have to move it into later of the day. And that time of year, it's cool anyway. But we're doing this so we can have the tree lighting ceremony in conjunction with the parade, so everything sort of follows along. It's going to be super cool. Excited about that. So I think we'll still have the run. But Mark, I want to take a quick minute. I know we got to is to thank the Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank you and Miss Marla and the whole team. I don't see them. I think some of them had to check out. But, everybody that's over there at the Chamber, because of the partnership we have with you guys here at the city, I thought that ribbon cutting process, the way you guys did that for Valley Center, to go from just door to door and recognize every one of them businesses. I tend to watch people's facial expressions and how they feel. And even my barber who's over there that couldn't actually come out, we stopped in front of their place and did one because it's a husband and wife team and they were just too busy, which is a good thing to come out there and join us. I thought that was awesome. And you had Commissioner Lady and I think the mayor was there and some other commissioners. I thought that was super special to do that. You could have just did one big thing and they all came out there and got in the picture, but to go, I think that above and beyond mentality and attitude means the world to people because as Marcus, you used to always say, these business folks are risking everything. They're taking life savings to open up these businesses. hoping, as Mark would say, that somebody comes in there once they turn that open for business sign or flip that sign in the window in the old days, that somebody's going to come in there and patronize those businesses. I went with a buddy of mine this weekend, and I'll end at this. And it was the little consignment shop. And I took a few things I'd made, hoping that they can sell them. And they make a few dollars. I make a few dollars as well. I think that's cool. And he asked, come out, he says, I hope they sell a lot of stuff. He said, because I don't know how they pay for this awesome space and then pay for themselves to have something to eat and then pay their help. And that takes other people coming in there and going through that door and patronizing their businesses. So just remember that. And yes, I encourage you to be selfish and self-serving, I guess you'd say, to a degree, and patronize Mount Juliet businesses first. If you live here, get it here. If you're on the way home and you need something you can make it home, wait till you get here to get it. And if you live in the community, I encourage you to do the same thing.
I think people would be shocked really to know that some folks, you talk about 2 customers a day, Monday through Friday, each spending $10 extra, $20 a day, $100 a week, $5,200 a year. That's more than the difference to stay in business or not stay in business. And so every one of those does add up. Where are you selling your stuff at, Kenny? I'll go buy something you made.
And it's 2 places that are just willing to take that junk. One of them's a Dragonfly and one of them's a Basement Marketplace. And the fact is, the only thing I question with other human beings out there is how anybody can look at this junk I make and decide they want to drag that stuff into their house or put it on a wall. I just find that hard to believe. So maybe some people just like some hideous stuff that they want to bring into their house.
You know what, folks? You heard it here. Kenny's junk can now be your junk if you want it. So
preach it.
Keep selling it. Take 10% every time it moves. So
hey,
everybody,
I'm repurposing stuff, Mark. I'm taking junk and then reselling it, so it's not going to the landfills.
Some of you are going to the noon Rotary Club today. Got a good program. I believe next Monday is the Breakfast Rotary Club's golf tournament, the Jerry Houston Memorial Golf Tournament. Probably in no business in the last 20 years has meant more and done more to help people in Mount Juliet than Houston's, and this is a chance to support them. So if you're a golfer, the weather looks great, put a team in it, talk to any of the Rotarians that can help you out. Put the date down on the Christmas parade, December 11th, Kenny, is that right?
Yes, sir.
A couple of special guests are going to be joining us, Wilson and Juliet. If you haven't seen them, you're going to. They're out and about. Marla, thumbs up. Are they at Memos today?
Yeah, Memos is closed. They'll be. I'll be announcing where they're going to be tomorrow.
All right, get out and
They're
get
at Memos
yourself.
over the weekend.
Get out and get in.
People had a question in the chat.
Okay, get out. Forget your selfie. Take an Elfie with those guys. So, all right, we done?
We're done. Thank you, everybody. Bless each of you for what you do.
One question. Marla, you got a question?
Yeah, Eddie Poole wants to know where Thomason Park is.
Thomason Park is off of Beckwith Road. You only know it's there, Eddie, because it's 57 acres on your left, which will be the west side of Beckwith Road as you get near 70, close to West Elementary. But you'll start seeing some movement on that in the future once they start that residential development and they start cutting the road into it.
Watch the project tracker, Eddie Poole. I'll help you with that. All right, man.
Eddie's the original, the one and only, the original.
There for a minute, I didn't even think he was awake. Look at him. I thought he was dozing off.
Look at that big recliner, man.
Them pastors have a rough time on Sundays.
Man, he is laid back. You got a motor on that thing, Eddie?
That's right.
All right, everybody. Have a great rest of the day. Enjoy Rotary. Bye.
Thank you, buddy.